This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 475 for the week of Monday, June 26th, 2017. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And on today's show, we have Anime News Network editorial writer and our very own anime recap host, Sam Leach, is with us. Hey, Sam.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. We have a really cool show for you guys today. It's a little different than what we normally do since the manga is off. We have Daniel Baugh, who is the voice of Jimbei, a pretty popular character amongst us fans, I would say. He's going to talk to us a little bit about his role in Funimation's One Piece and his thoughts on not just what he has recorded so far, but also what he has been reading so far. So some of it may be somewhat spoilerific if you have not caught up in the manga, so just be wary. You could definitely, the first half of the interview, I think, is pretty spoiler-free. We also have the return of our Greg no Gougai segment, which means if you don't speak Japanese, like I don't, it means extra extra with Greg. We talk about his foray onto YouTube, and we talk about his thoughts on the current Whole Cake Island arc, and the 20th anniversary of One Piece, which he has a video coming out about pretty soon. I'm not sure when, but please check his YouTube channel out at youtube.com/ochimusha108, the O being a 0 in that.
And as a hint, there will be numbers involved.
Yes, there will definitely be numbers. There are always numbers involved, let's be fair. And deranged animals of all sorts. So we got those. We also have an anime recap. Sam, what is that for this week?
As for episode 794, a battle between father and son, Judge versus Sanji.
So this came out the week after Father's Day, but still prescient.
The first half of the Sanji versus Judge fight came out before Father's Day. So
there you go.
It's kind of like a sandwich you got there.
Well, or maybe you get 2 Father's Days in a row. So look forward to that with Sam and Ed. And we also, well, that's basically it for this week. We'll also do a little bit of news since there's some cool stuff that's coming out. But before we get into that, I want to mention that we will be at conventions again, which we've had kind of an absence from conventions. But Ed, you're going to the first one, and it is next weekend.
That's right. I am leaving on Wednesday night, fly to Los Angeles, hang out with Steve, watch some wrestling, and go do the Anime Expo. I'll be there. Steve will be there. I believe Dennis also will be there. He has a retro anime podcast, as well as he's made some appearances on the One Piece podcast recently.
We're gonna have him on more. Yeah, it's been a little while since we've had him, but yeah, he's been on our podcast since like 2011 or 10.
Right. Well, 2010 because when we first went to Anime Expo, it was 7 years ago.
Wow.
Anime Expo 2010.
Yeah.
What was it? The dub premiere of like Trigun the movie.
How the hell do you remember that? I mean, Trigun the movie. It was a very yeah.
And also, of course, Jill will be at the convention, and she'll be cosplaying, I believe, Mancherry and at least one other thing.
Big Mom, I think.
Right, of course.
How do you forget that?
I saw the picture of her Mancherry wig on Twitter.
I was gonna say you remember Mancherry, but not.
Because I saw the one tweet. Anyway. Okay.
So they'll all be there. I'm assuming there'll be others there as well. Roger will be there, right? Did you mention Roger? Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure. Ed, just, don't get too drunk is all I'm saying.
Hey, come on.
Okay, fine, you can. It's fine with me.
I'll see you at Otakon.
I'll see you at Otakon. Good transition. We will also be at Otakon, and the good thing about Otakon is we will have a panel there celebrating the 20th anniversary of One Piece. One Piece turns 20, let's say, on July 19th, which we'll talk a little bit more about with Greg. But if you're going to be in the Washington, D.C. area, this is the first time Otakon is in Washington, D.C., by the way, please come to our 20 Years of One Piece panel. I will be there. Ed will be there. We'll also have Steve and Casey and Alex and Kelly and maybe more if I could, strong arm some people. So that's going to be very exciting. That's the weekend, I believe, August 11th through 13th. I'm doing that off the top of my head.
It's late August because I know the week before Otakon, me and Casey will be at Anime Fest in Dallas.
Otakon is August 11th through 13th. I was exactly right.
Oh, it's the week before then.
Yeah.
Oh, Okay.
How
So the week
how
after-
dare you question me with your own transitional?
The week after, me and Casey will be in Dallas.
Yes, and that's at Anime Fest, correct?
Yeah.
That's the name of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Anime Fest.
so you can catch Ed next week. Ed, Steve, Roger, Jill, and more at AX next weekend. August 11th through 13th. You can check us all out at Otakon, except for Sam. And at Anime Fest, you can check out Casey and Sam over in Dallas, Texas. I also want to mention, I want to give a shout out to our very own Casey, who's not here today, but we just found out, I believe he interviewed the creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Is that correct?
Yes, Hirohiko Araki, whose book was recently published in English.
For Anime News Network, which Sam, you also we're getting a little intertwined, I feel like, at this point. But huge congratulations.
Buy them out.
What? Buy them out?
Buy them out.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's the other way around, if anything.
Hey,
It's
yeah, that'd be like the first time in like 5 years I've heard that suggestion.
Yeah. Really? Anyway, that article comes out a little later this week, and big kudos to Casey. It's really awesome. Congrats to him. And Sam, of course, congrats to you always for your work over at ANN. No, I'm proud of you, Sam. I'm proud of Casey, too.
Oh.
So why don't we get into the show and start with a little bit of news?
Sure.
This is the news segment without Fire Crouch. Sorry about that, Ed. Today we have a little bit of news that we want to go through with you guys. Big thanks to Adil, who has been working on getting all of the news out. If you're interested in becoming part of our website staff, I want to mention this here. You could email us at onepiecepodcast@gmail.com. We are looking for more news reporters to help Adil and our news staff out. We're also looking for an editor-in-chief to help with the day-to-day operations on the website. So again, onepiecepodcast@gmail.com. Please send it with the subject header website openings. I think that's the header I said. Anyway, why don't we get into some news? I want to talk about One Piece episode of East Blue. Sam, I don't know if you've seen the images for this or the
I have.
Well, what do you want to first describe to people? I mean, what it's about, if you know.
It's another 2-hour TV movie type thing that's supposedly going to be recapping East Blue.
I have a correction there. It's 2 hours.
No.
10 minutes.
There are too many TV specials these days. Please eliminate 3. P.S. I am not a crank.
I don't remember that reference. But yeah, you want to talk a little bit, Sam, on what are you excited about it, apprehensive about it? You're our resident anime guy, so.
I mean, the screenshots look kind of nice. Like the shot of there's this particular one of Usopp that looks really cool. But generally, no, I'm not that excited. Like these arc recap stories don't really work for me in general.
Do you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking this would work. People have wanted like an abridged One Piece if they did every single arc as like a special, and for the longer arcs, to do it as like 2 or 3 of them.
Like, oh, you mean like 2 or 3 movies?
Yeah, kind of like that. So they're individual episodes of. If you really have to rehash stuff, I understand they're doing this in part for the 20th anniversary of the manga,
right?
But it
I
seems
don't
weird
feel like
to put
these...
4 of them in one.
Yeah, and it's like, because I don't imagine that substituting the show with the movies, even if they like made a movie for like every single arc at some point, I don't think I would recommend anybody experience the show that way.
No.
Yeah.
I wonder if these are on TV because people in Japan don't have Crunchyroll. They don't have immediate access to the entire back catalog of episodes if they want to. And plus, a lot of them are children. So for children, they get to go back and see things that they probably weren't even alive for. In this particular case.
But then, like the art style is always just like a little bit weird, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm usually just not that huge of actually, like I I'm still waiting. It's never going to happen, but I'm still waiting for them to do an arc recap of some kind and just go all in and make it like a 3-hour one and let's make a night of it.
How do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Just like make it long and fun by being long.
I'll be honest, that has never been a way that I would have thought to make it better.
I think a lot of people want like a One Piece Kai. But Dragon Ball Z Kai has its issues too.
Mm-hmm. I like Dragon Ball Kai a lot. Like I would welcome a One Piece Kai, but I don't think that these movies would work as a One Piece Kai.
No. I'm not saying that. Or maybe just a reanimated adaptation of the manga at some point in the distant future would also be nice. With good animators. I don't know. Anyway, August 26th, it airs on Fuji TV at 2100 to 2310 Japan Standard Time. Can anyone do that math really quickly?
That's 9 to 11:10 p.m.
Oh, that is well.
Is that p.m. or a.m.?
p.m.
p.m. Okay.
Yeah, 2100. Why would that?
Oh
be
yeah,
AM?
that's right. Right.
Doesn't make any sense. There will also be the first opening song, "We Are for the New World," will be used for this special. Now, there was a track with the same name on the We Go soundtrack back in 2011, so I'm not sure.
Is that the one that they rounded the time skip off with, like right before they?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if that's what that is, or if it's a completely new version of We Are. How many versions of We Are have we had at this point? We did an episode just on We Are way back.
It's definitely in the double digits.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. And there's a lot more. You could go to our website, read about it, OnePiecePodcast.com. The voice cast for Season 9, Voyage 1, has also been released. Today we talked to one of the members of that, Jimbei. But there's also a lot of other cool people that you may and probably have not heard of. I like that One Piece has been using such new voice actors. There's a real depth of talent that they've been reaching for, I think, on the series. Have you guys had a chance to watch any of Season 9? I know it came out already.
Yeah,
I plan on buying it in the dealer's hall next week because I'm lazy.
That's a way more expensive way to buy it, for sure.
Yeah, I watched it all on Funimation.
That's true. I could do that too. I also haven't finished Season 8. I have like a disc left.
And the big surprise, which we've already talked about, is we're all on that, except for Sam.
No, not all of us. Yeah,
Sam should be on it, but you could hear me and you could hear Ed.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it. You can check out more news at OnePiecePodcast.com. Let's get into the next segment. You guys ready?
All right.
Hey everyone, we have a very special guest with us today. He is the voice of Jimbei in Funimation's One Piece. We have Daniel Baugh with us. How's it going, Daniel?
Ahoy, hoy. I'm doing great.
Oh, you'll fit in just fine. Welcome to the podcast. I heard you've actually been listening to the podcast.
Yeah. How's y'all search for the Simla doing?
I have not found it yet. I have been searching New York City for it. It still hasn't come up. Just embarrassing myself in bakeries. I started listening a few episodes ago. A friend that I guess a mutual friend, Jocelyn Ramirez. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
she let us. She let me know about y'all, and I said, "Hey, that sounds pretty cool." And so I started listening to you, and it's given me a lot of insight, and it's helped me a lot too with the character.
Great, yeah. Anything we could do to help Jimbei out.
I love, okay, I'll be honest. This is the only podcast I listen to. I've never listened to one before, and it's the only one I listen to. So y'all are number one, and I do like the fact that y'all do throw in Simpsons references because I'm always using the line "A wizard did it" as an ad lib on stage. So, yeah. What y'all been doing has been pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
That means a lot. We almost speak entirely in Simpsons quotes here, so that means a lot.
Now, when did you get into acting? Were you into it as a child, or was it something you came came into later on in life?
No, I started in college, and of course, and couldn't make a really good living at it. But for the last 10, 15 years, I've been working at a theater in Dallas, Texas. It's called the Pocket Sandwich Theater. I would direct. I'd also be on stage, and so I'd been a working actor for about 10 years when a friend of mine, Jade. I believe y'all call her Jade Jade Sexton. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was on I think Michael Tatum's podcast a while, years ago at this point.
Yeah, she turned me on to Funimation, and so I went out and auditioned like everybody else. I got on the list and thought, hey, this would be something I'd like to try. I've always wanted to do it. I didn't really think that I would pursue it as something serious. I thought I'd just, get my feet wet, play with it a little bit, and just knock it off my bucket list. But everything kind of weirdly fell into place here with Jimbei, and I've been very blessed with it. And because I, like just about everybody else, it had a horrible first audition, and then I came back and they called me back to do Walla, and so I did Walla for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I was working with Joel, and that's when I was doing Walla that I first learned about One Piece, and I had never heard of it. And I'd worked in a bookstore, and we had manga and everything there, but I'd never heard of it. And we were doing a piece. The first thing he told me about was the transponder snails, and I was like, "What are you serious?" And so that's when I started just falling into it and loving it, and been following it since. Both. I haven't really. It's like my friends warned me, said, be careful because this is really a lifetime commitment.
We're aware.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And then that's when I was offered the role, it kind of fell in towards me, and Joel saw my talent, and of course, I, as I'm talking to you now, probably don't sound anything like Jimbei. They do tone him down a couple of octaves and do some reverberation and stuff like that, which is totally fine with me. I'm just trying to get the actor's essence and convey the actor in him to come out and match those mouth flaps. Yeah, I mean, what you hear or what comes across, when I'm in the booth, it sounds more like Gruff, the crime dog. It's like, hey, Luffy, we must get the impel down before Aces has his head cut off. So nice. It's somewhat there, but a lot of my friends will watch it and they'll go, what? Yeah, I can kind of tell it's you. But I'm just happy to be here.
Now, you recently made the transition from mostly stage acting to doing also the acting in the booth. Like, what has that transition been like for you to also, have to sort of confine yourself to these sometimes very tiny spaces?
It's a whole different. I'm a very animated person physically, and so when I get into the booth, I have to make sure that nothing's there's going to be knocked over or anything.
I'm waiting for the special feature with you knocking everything over in the booth.
well, Joel's been kind and kept everything away from me. And I've worked with Joel mostly, but I've also worked with Mike, and they're both wonderful. But both of them allow me to use my acting ability, and we explore things, we try things that are different, and they're really good at finding different levels that I haven't thought of, because when I'm in there, sometimes the first time I'm seeing this stuff is when it's thrown up right in front of me. And so Joel does a great job of giving background information about all the different characters and relationships, so I can immediately get kind of a good feel for it. And then we'll do it a couple of times, and then by the time I say Fishman or Fishman correctly, depending on the context, then we figured out how we want to go with it. So it's been a lot of fun, but it is different. There's more technical aspects to the voice. Doing it, a lot of people think, when I see a lot of fans, I've met a lot of fans. A lot of fans have reached out to me talking about how they'd love to do it, and they've asked me for tips and stuff, and I try to give them the best tips I can. But I'm fairly new to this voice acting thing myself. But there is a different level where not only are you doing your own acting thing, You have a lot more freedom, like on stage. You can improv, you can play off other people. This is pretty restricted, and so you're trying to find that balance between what you have to do and what you can do. And Joel and Mike are awesome at finding some really crazy stuff that works.
Mm-hmm.
So I love doing it.
Now, with regard to Jimbei, like, what do what's the emotion that you find yourself sort of channeling with when you have to like really get in there for Jimbei?
Well, Jimbei to me, and I already can hear some grumblings of Big Mom in the background, but loyalty comes across to me more than anything. And I always want to portray his loyalty to Luffy. They've got one of the greatest friendships. And if you look back at Jimbei's character, he's always been very, very loyal to everybody, even Big Mom. Of course, he said, screw you, Big Mom, this last one. But other than that, I always...
He did it very respectfully.
And I'm always trying to... I'm not always trying, but... my conscience when I'm in the booth on Jimbei really is Joel. He tends to bring me down on some parts, which makes it really impactful on what we're seeing on screen. Is what I like. When he makes me look good, I love what he does.
Right. And Jimbei has definitely had a lot of screen time, especially from Impel Down to Marineford, I'm thinking, and you took a little break, and then I guess you're in the Fishman Island stuff at the moment, or just wrapped up. I'm guessing.
Yeah. Without giving away too much and having Funimation get mad at me. Yeah, we're doing. It's finishing up the Fishman arc, and.
That's all been announced at this point, so it's not too much.
That's all season 9. So.
Yeah. So I mean,
I'll be on hiatus for a little bit until if I pick up another contract.
Yeah, and you're somewhat familiar with the manga, which we'll go through later, but Jimbei is not gone for long at any point in time. He always has his return on the horizon, but I'll ask the more stereotypical question when it comes to just voice acting, and what has been your favorite scene so far as Jimbei?
Well, my favorite scene of all with Jimbei is the blood transfusion with Luffy. I like that one, and then I like the very first instance when you see him where he's in the cell at Impel Down with Ace. And of course, then I love when he throws the gate on his back and swims everybody out to the ship at Impel Town. It's pretty awesome.
That's definitely one of my favorite Jimbei scenes. Sam, you're also a big Jimbei fan, I know. You've mentioned it a couple times.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for?
Yeah, I want to ask, like, when you're going in for One Piece, especially when you're auditioning for a character like Jimbei, is like, to what degree does the size of the show factor into that audition, and like how much insight did you have into how important Jimbei would continue to be throughout the series? Like, because a lot of the stuff with Jimbei right now in the manga is pretty new. Like his potential role moving forward in the series is like 10 times bigger than you would have thought when he's first introduced. Like, how much does that stuff kind of factor into? Yeah, like, how much does that kind of stuff factor into that initial audition process or initial, you've been casted and now you're being explained to the character?
Well, when I first started out, I had no idea of the depth of this character. When I was approached with the character, they asked me to do a reading. Actually, I think it may have been for Blackbeard at the time, asking me to just try to match the vocals as much as possible. And then they went and they discussed it, and they came back and they said that I hope I had some calendar time open because I was going to do this character. And so at the time, we thought it was just, they'll be doing this character for a few months, so that's great. And then this talk started coming in a couple years ago, or a year and a half ago, I guess, about being the next Straw Hat Pirate. And that's when I started getting really flooded with like emails through Facebook and things like that, asking me how I felt about it. And to be honest, I couldn't scope it until I started seeing these emails from Germany, Philippines, all over the world, and such great fans. And so I started reading some of their threads, and they're just so passionate that it made me realize this is really a blessing. This fell into my lap. I'm taking advantage of it as long as they'll have me, as long as I don't get the bum rush out of the booth yet. As long as they'll have me, as long as it's fun, I'm going to love doing it. And because of the worldwide celebrity of it, I kind of owe it to the fans to get as much info as I can without going completely insane with the onslaught of One Piece information. So when I hear podcasts like yours and I hear y'all discussing things about the insights of different people and stuff like that, it really helps with the relationships that I can bring with my character, as narrow as that little channel is, but it helps me.
Ed, go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering, now that you've sort of been in the voice acting for a couple of years, have you sort of had the chance to work on other kinds of anime, other genres?
I've done some other genres, mostly bit pieces, and it's always surprising because usually what happens is you're in the booth and they say, hey, if you got a little bit of time, so-and-so over in booth 7, they need you to over there to do a couple lines. It's like, sure. And so I'll go over there, and a lot of times I won't even know the show I'm on until I see it online, my credits. They actually have an IMDb credit, which I was surprised about for some show I did some bit lines on, and I have no recollection of it. But during the time that I'm in there, I love them because each one with each director that's there, they're all, first of all, Funimation is wonderful with the people that they have directing. I'm older. I'm 54. This was a surprise to me. I'm going and I'm working with people that are in their early 20s, sometimes younger. And I'm expecting, oh, great, this is going to be a bunch of skinny jeans with attitudes. And they are wonderful. Just everybody is so nice and made me feel quite at home there. So, yeah, I love working there. What was our point? I kind of rambled off.
Oh, I was just wondering about if you've worked on other anime genres.
Yeah.
But what's your experience with anime? Like coming to it at your age, I'm not sure if you had any experience with it before this.
When I was growing up, and I was in third or fourth grade, I was watching Speed Racer on TV every afternoon religiously. And then there was also a cartoon. I'm not sure what year it came out, but it was being shown at the time. King Kong. Both of them were, Japanese anime style. And that was my first taste of anime. It didn't happen later on until, when I just recently started going back to Funimation. But being like what I was going to say was being in the studio with all the different directors gives me wonderful chances to do different types of shows. I was on one where it was very serious. Another one where it was a historical piece where I got to play my country accent from down south. I got to, which isn't very far from the way I speak now.
We're Northerners. It's yeah.
I was born in Kentucky, but I was raised in Texas, and I was raised around a bunch of East Texas people. So a lot of times my accent will slip out, and they'll stop me, and they'll crack me on the booth. Say, hey, can you unsouthern fry that a little bit? But one of my greatest times in the booth, this is crazy, I'm not sure what show it's on, but I was to play a content piece of floating seaweed, and I had one sound, and it was oh, and that was great. It was so fun watching them put it together. So yeah, I get to try a lot of different things, and maybe with this experience of being Jimbei, that I'll get more opportunities to do other characters and stuff. But to be honest, right now, the workload that I'm getting out of this, and then with my bit parts and everything, it's fine, because I do outside things. I work full time for a living in a bookstore. I also still do the theater thing, and so and then this. So yeah, it's fun.
You're in three
really-
pretty
it's-
cool places. If you had to pick 3 places to work.
Yeah, I get to pretend a lot.
A
Yeah.
I was
lot of
actually looking at
escapism.
that King Kong cartoon, which apparently was a co-production with Rankin Bass and Toei Animation, who makes
Wow,
One
does
Piece.
One Piece.
So,
That's, I
yeah.
didn't know that.
That's interesting. It's from the late '60s, but yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Full circle, kind of. So we were talking about your seaweed character, and so we got some questions from the audience, and so referring very specifically to the seaweed character, I assume. Sean Frake asked if you as a voice actor feel connected to your characters, and does it take time to learn about them, or do you just is it normally just going into the booth and recording stuff?
Well, luckily, they do take the time. At least everybody I've worked with so far has taken the time to give me the background story. And if I had any questions or wanted to change something, they would let me know. But usually I have a little bit, but things at Funimation are pretty fast paced. But the thing is that the directors know exactly what they want going in. And if you don't give it to them, they'll steer you that way. And if you're not picking up on the subtle clues, they'll just tell you, exhale and say this, just like this. and that is rare. But with what I've done, it's usually people that you don't see again. So there's not a whole lot of having to delve into the background of their character. I've done more research on Jimbei, on the background of his character than any other, and it's understandable.
Well, we had a lot of people ask you, like, how much have you read about Jimbei? How much of the manga have you read up to this point? So I'll ask that.
Now, I'm trying to keep up. Oh my God, there's so much.
There's a pretty decent amount.
Yeah. And see, what I was doing was, as I first got the role, I immediately tried to watch as many episodes as I could, and I found some on Hulu, and it was just the Japanese. So I was able to watch the anime in Japanese before I did the English dub. And as for the manga, I didn't pick that up until recently. Mainly because I was seeing so many comments of read the manga, and I was seeing all these battles between the two, and looking at them both now, I feel like they're two separate things. That's delicious at the Luffy buffet of desserts. It's like cake and pie. They're both wonderful, and they both have their idiosyncrasies to each one. And I've been trying to keep up, and I've jumped way ahead. There's a big gap of several chapters, or several hundred chapters, that I haven't really dwelled into.
So you're basically where Jimbei is, I think. If you went from Fishman Island to the current story arc, that's about what he skipped also.
Yeah, I kind of want to find out what that thing was with that separate voyage he takes.
Oh yeah, they have
story.
cover stories, yeah.
Yeah, Oda does parallel stories on the cover page of each chapter, so one page a week is devoted to a different story.
Yeah, that if it's a hard thing to forward because they happen at the first page of each chapter for a few months. So it's like a little side story that occurs in each chapter.
It's a crapshoot if it gets animated.
Yeah,
Probably not.
Yeah, I kind of don't think it will. I don't know.
It's very important to the plot, so I don't know.
This one, yeah,
this
Great.
one is.
I would love it because that means more work. And
That's
I love-
true. Don't worry, you're guaranteed lots of Jimbei in the future.
Yeah.
That's going back to the whole thing about the being the possibility. I'd still want to say possibility. You never know what Oda's going to do. But the possibility of joining the Straw Hats, oh my God, it still hasn't totally sunk in.
Work for life.
Still freaking out that I can buy crap online with my character. That's amazing.
That's true. Yeah.
It's going to multiply.
Yeah, and those background Satan worshippers we voiced don't have figures, and I'm still really
No.
upset about that.
No, they don't.
Sam, did you have a question? It sounded like.
Oh no, I was just commenting.
Oh, okay, fine. I see how it is. We have more questions from the audience, including one from Angel Rosa, who asks, "How excited are you about Jimbei's role in the current story arc? And do you see Jimbei becoming a future Straw Hat?" I think here at the podcast, definitely. But you could. I'll give you both of those questions.
Okay, talking about the current Cake Island thing.
Yeah, the whole Cake Island. How have you been? How many chapters? You've only been reading like 5 or so of the last chapters. I recall you mentioning.
Yeah.
Have you been
Yeah, that's
enjoying jumping in the middle of that?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it all out, and I'm seeing all these little hidden things, and trying to figure it out. I'm pretty sure that Big Mom ate everybody. I'm of that school. I like this arc, but it also worries me. I'm always getting worried reading this chapter, and I don't know why. I just keep getting this feeling that we're about to get a left curve somewhere, and it's yeah.
The question is if it involves Jimbei or not.
Yeah, exactly. I want to make sure that he lives through this, and then climbs aboard that.
Most
If it's any
characters
comfort,
do. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's any comfort, characters don't die too often.
You just happen to be
Yeah.
around when 2 of them had died, and it was the first time.
Yeah, yeah. I remember my point of reference.
That was the first time your character was there for the first time to any 2 people died in the series, or any person died, in the present day in the series. So the likelihood's good that you're fine.
The comic had been going on for 12 years at that point.
I mean, did you read the chapter? I guess we've already spoiled a lot for people listening if you're not caught up. But the big Jimbei chapter where he stands up to Big Mom?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And yeah, the wheel confused me. I was kind of under the mindset that the wheel was the Joker head, was like the I guess the skull or whatever. It was more like losing your reputation, and I thought it was going to turn him into a pariah. But that didn't. It was weird. It was
that would be
all that
Jimbei's.
build up, and then I'm just not going to do it. Okay.
Yeah, I think we all here agreed with that. I think Jimbei's worst fear is to be a pariah, or at least to be dishonorable in any sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the whole loyalty thing, and yeah, so that one made me worried. And then this one with the jumping in the mirror. Well, crap. Sorry, spoiler.
No, it's fine. We've already made it to that point. At this point, you can keep going.
Yeah, I was just saying that. I was hoping they would just kill her off. I felt sorry for her as a little kid. God, she was precious. That's too bad. And then, yeah, she must die. I was really hoping she'd come off. And
yeah,
no,
you can't eat kids and live. You'd think, but it is One Piece.
Felt sorry for her as a kid, but she must die.
So cute. Feel like a cute corpse.
It's too long for an episode title this week, but I like it. We got some more questions. Kaiba Boy asked whose backstory you want to see the most, but I'll ask you. You got to record Jimbei's backstory, I'm guessing, by this point. What did you think of that? You don't have to go into too much detail about it if you don't want, but
I love doing it. I wish there was more of it. I'm not sure exactly how there could be more of it, but
there could always be more.
I like it. As for backstories, you think y'all were rating the backstories a few episodes back, and I'm not that familiar with all the backstories, but the Nami one pretty much was probably my first instance of watching a backstory and then going, oh, holy crap. They killed her mom right in front of her. Yeah, that's kind of a big deal. So that one's always stuck with me. I've always had a place in my heart for Nami. And then when Jimbei had his heart to heart with Nami, oh man, that was incredible. And I just want to tell Sanji to shut the fuck up. Oh crap! Can y'all say?
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
We're good.
We tell that to Sanji often. Let's see what else we got. We got one from some of these are just not related. I'm making sure. We got one from Skills, who asks you to say some hilarious Jimbei quotes. I don't know which ones are hilarious.
I don't think there are any.
I don't think there are.
He makes funny faces sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unless you have something you want to say about that, I want to put you on the spot there.
I was just gonna say, this is Jimbei, and I never listen to the One Piece podcast ever. It sucks.
Perfect. We've got a non-endorsement. So we actually haven't done a voice actor. We actually haven't done a voice actor interview in a little while, so we have a chance to do something we haven't done in a while, and we'll round off with these. Ed, do you want to?
Yes, this is the 10-question questionnaire from inside the actor's studio. So whenever we have a new actor on, we like to ask them the questions. So,
oh crap!
We'll start off. Question 1: what is your favorite word?
Awesome.
All right. What is your least favorite word?
Smegma.
Well, if we did break the barrier at that point,
there we go.
That's way more disgusting for the
record. Breaking up.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Acting and painting, and camping.
Nice. What turns you off? Similarly.
I guess physical pain.
I imagine that's
a pretty normal reaction.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I suffer from a nerve disorder where I get stabbing pains periodically for no freaking reason in the world. So yeah, to me, pain's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the lighter note, what's the fourth one?
that was number 4. Number 5 is, what is your favorite curse word?
Yeah, it's fuck.
Yeah.
There's no other answer for that.
Number 1 answer. Yeah. What sound or noise do you love?
Sound or noise do I love? I love when Dachshunds, when they shake, their ears flap and make a flappity, flappity, flappity sound. That's the sound I like.
Nice. And what sound or noise do you hate?
The fart that you know is a shark.
Oh, yeah, that's a bad one.
Yeah. And what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
You have 3 professions right now, so you have to choose a different one.
The one thing that I've always been told I would be good at would be private detective. And so I kind of like to do that.
Right on. And what profession would you not like to do?
Anything hospital related.
Ooh, yeah.
Those people are angels. Oh my God. I can't praise people in hospitals enough, but there is no way I could do any. Same with working at a vet. I couldn't do it.
There's no amount of money.
Yeah.
And finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
These are light questions.
We'll let you in anyway. We'll let you in anyway.
Awesome. Right. Daniel, thank you so much for coming on. I hope we have you back soon. And if you, or even if you don't conquer the what chapter are we almost up to? 870 chapter mountain of One Piece. You're welcome on to talk some Jimbei or talk some One Piece with us anytime. Thanks for coming on again.
Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to our Patreon segment. Ed, we have some names for people who helped us out on Patreon this month. And remember, you could have your name read if you go to patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Now, Ed, what's our Patreon song?
What?
No, that was the Reddit song, Ed, as you may recall from last week. I said the Patreon song.
First name.
Fine, go ahead.
Our supporters this month, starting with Huntress Fan, Shauna, Christopher Holloman, Tyler Bass, Abdul Buta, Justin Brown, KA12, Zach, probably not you, right?
No, it isn't. It's another Zach.
With a K, right? Right.
I wouldn't do that. But I do appreciate the Zach for supporting us. Thank you, Zach.
Newton Morgill, Cody O'Brien, Wandering Off, Daniel Newman, Adriana Carvajal, Moyes Kokate, Anthony Peony, Blair Mason, Chase Vanam, Tariq Mahdi, Daniel Montejo Jesus, Oscar Eliason, Josh Salceda, Mike King, Vike King, Samatar Noor, Jefferson Lee, Micah Rothenberg, Gentleman Bastard 12, Michelle, all caps, Brian Newton, oh thanks Brian, Joanna Whitaker, Christian Turlato, Kendra, Matt Nolan, the Spider-Man 360, Rohan Acharya, Neil Hill, Kathleen Weidenhammer, Joseph Griffin, Drew Carmian, Darren Smith, Saad Mayer, Chris Bachman, Caroline, Brooks Soul Penis.
He made you say it. He made you say it.
We'll read anything. H. Hale, Stephen Solomon, Michael, Blindman, Lester Soto, Corinna Dinsmore, Francis S., Jose Rivera, Narayan, Shelly Prez, and that's it.
And Ed, I don't know if you've noticed that this list has been getting incrementally longer every month we read it.
I've noticed.
Yeah.
I couldn't do the 105.5 Bobbin in the morning.
Voice the entire time.
Probably not.
That should have been your Patreon song, by the way. But next month we'll do that. I really want to thank everyone for supporting us on Patreon. You allow us to do things like go to more conventions, hopefully in the future. Just fund the website because there are a lot of upkeep costs. And do cool things in the future. Buy equipment for people who need it. Make us sound better and exist. So keep doing what you're doing. We have a lot of cool prizes, and we're gonna be not prizes, rewards. Is probably a better way to put that. And we're gonna be adding some related to our Discord channel in the next coming months. So now is the time to subscribe if you have not. Again, that URL is patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Ready to get back into the show?
All right.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Greg No-Go Guy segment, and it has been a long time, but he is back. We have the man himself. We have Greg. How's it going, Greg?
Would that be a very special guest or a super special guest?
I guess you would be super, but then I don't know. Stephen might get a little competitive since he's a very special guest as to, that title. But how's it been going, Greg?
Quite well. Life is good over here, and I am eagerly anticipating the 20th anniversary of One Piece.
Do you have anything special planned, personally, for the 20th anniversary of One Piece?
If you're in the Tokyo area, I would watch TV on that day.
Mm-hmm. I will not be, but I would love to be. And will you be celebrating on July 19th or July 22nd?
Oh man, it's all about July 19th.
Yeah. I think we at the podcast here are all big July 19th fans, personally. I mean, do you want to explain to people, since it's actually coming up, what the discrepancy is with the dates, since I know you're fairly familiar with this discussion?
Well, I will be going into that in my next video.
So I won't bring that up now. Do you want to talk a little bit about your foray into YouTube, too?
Sure. That just came up as one of those, like, well, either do your business or get off the pot kind of things. Like, for years now, I've been like, yeah, I kind of want to get into this, but boy, it's really hard to set up. And it's also, you have to be very careful about how you put information into the video in terms of visual information and oral information, whether it's unique or not. And, you see 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds with like copyright rich videos and have like 700,000 views, and you're just like, you watch the video and it's just like, did you know that Usopp has a long nose? And you're just like, oh God, why can't I do anything? But I do have to be careful because of my affiliation with the series. So I was always, it was like trying to work with one hand tied behind my back. But about 4 weeks ago, I sat down and I was like, do I want to do anything with this or not? I have a little bit of time in my life right now where there's a little bit of freedom, and I figured, why not? And that was kind of the start of it.
And do you want to talk a little bit about how you came to choose the subject of your first video?
Sure. It's a, for those who aren't familiar, it's a 10 facts you didn't know about One Piece. And I think I can deliver on most fronts with the video being at least 10 facts you didn't know about One Piece. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Since I'm just starting out, I'd like to say please subscribe, like, comment as you like. I especially they let me know what I'm doing wrong, because since this is my first video, I'm sure I'm doing a lot wrong. Actually, Ed was the very first person to be like, Greg, there's a mistake. Like, the video wasn't up for half an hour when I got a direct message from Ed, and he's like, this is awesome. By the way, I found a mistake. And I was just like, yes!
Yeah.
Ed isn't afraid of doing that.
I was so happy. I was just like, oh, thank God it's Ed, not some
It's
like...
my nature. Yeah. I was an editor.
It was great. So very, very... God, I could use an editor so much. I love being able to go to an editor and have them take care of my work. A luxury I don't have with my articles and columns. So I was so happy to get that.
Oh, no?
No. Well, in Japanese, yes. In English,
okay.
no.
Yeah.
And they've been really on point with the Japanese articles as of late. They've been changing a lot of things, but that's neither here nor there. So yeah, what was it? It was the volume number. I had a volume number off, and Ed was like, "It should be this." And of course, it was one of the cases where like the volume number comes up twice in the video, so I had 2 mistakes in one round. So
It's in the Davy Back fight, I think.
yes,
It's Afro wigs and stuff.
Volume 32, and it should have been 33. Classic Greg. So
Such a nitpicky fan, Ed.
no, I'm so grateful. So grateful.
I got interrupted by recording the podcast on Monday. I have to go back and finish it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Ed was just raving about the video the whole time, and then we recorded, and I guess he forgot.
I did interrupt people during the podcast to talk about it.
Yes, it happened.
I listened. Yeah, I had a couple comments there. That was cool. Thank you.
But
also, the link, you put a link up there too, so that's great. So yeah, it was. How did I decide the topic? It was these were facts that I'd been sitting on for, in some cases, years. I think some of them I've probably shared with you guys, privately or otherwise. But I just wanted to start the this kind of how can I put it? I wanted to start with a bang. So I put this out there as kind of like, hey, here are 10 things I know you don't know. Check it out. And I hope that attracted a fair bit of attention. And I hope it's one of those things that, as you know, it has been a success. I'm successfully partnered with YouTube. So in videos that come out from here on, I hope that people can come back to that video and still look at it and be like, whoa, okay, cool, I didn't know this. Not one of those first videos that I look back on and cringe at. Like,
Remember your video of I think you did the unboxing of the film set. I think that was actually pretty cool.
was it? I see that it's there. And
The set was cool.
the set was cool. Okay.
God, you
Yeah.
sugarcoated it. Greg,
Yeah.
you were cool. That's what he's trying to say. So yeah, I think we've discussed some of the things you mentioned in the video on the podcast, but there's definitely a lot of things that, even after doing this show for 8+ years, I had no idea. Which is, I mean, I know you meticulously go through the series like no other human being on the face of the earth. I recall when you were trying out for Hokotate, your reams of notes. So how are you preparing for doing more of these? Is it that same kind of crazy Greg work ethic?
That's a good question. I have a little bit more time than I did in the past a couple of years right now. Things have quieted down, and I'm able to take a little bit of time and look at some of these facts, some of these things that I've explored on and off the podcast, and say, all right, well, what would be interesting for people to listen to? I don't want to do that Usopp has a long nose fact kind of video. If I don't have anything interesting to say, I don't want to say it. So I've been looking at the things that I find interesting, but I'm also trying to think about what other people find interesting. Because what I find interesting is when, like, I don't, I'm crazy. I'm like, oh wow, Sanji is using an abacus. This is terribly interesting. This is amazing. And people are like, what? Who cares? So I've been looking at thematically what I could do, and I'm looking far beyond just the top 10 or top 5 facts. I'm guessing that only the first video in the series, if I do more fact videos, would be a top 10, because that was a monster. It was insane. It was a total of 3 weeks working on it, but the end video that people are looking at took 2 weeks. There was a previous video that will never see the light of day because of copyright issues.
Mm.
But I'm working on things like, like I said, I'm working on an explanation of One Piece's birthday. Thematically, character, possibly fact videos, because that's what I did in my column in V-Jump. For quite some time, we're looking at characters and what are interesting facts about them.
Or even the hidden characters, the side characters, the inside jokes.
Yeah, the inside jokes are a little bit difficult to touch upon. I mentioned that in the video at one point. You might not have gotten there yet, but it's in the latter half, I think, in fact, 9 or so, which basically mentions there are a lot of inside jokes and hidden messages from the assistants that are, it's just, if it was any other person, if I wasn't me, I would do it in a heartbeat. But because I am me, even in an English audience, it wouldn't be responsible of me to bring them up, just because they do mention people by name, and it would be wrong of me to do that during One Piece's run. If other people find it, hey, cool. You know what? Go for it. Because if you found him, good on you, mate. But I'm not looking to do that right now. It wouldn't be responsible in my position. So, but yeah, many different things. If people get to know me through the YouTube verse, which I don't have 1,000 subscribers yet. I'm looking to get 1,000. If you're listening right now, you can help towards that goal. I'm not that far away. But if people get to know me and we build up kind of something like a repertoire, which is why I didn't want to speak about myself too much in the first video. I was just like, hey, let's get to the facts. If you have any questions, go to the end of the video. And at the end, it's pretty brief. I do speak about my work on the website, but that's about it. If people get to know me and are interested in what I do, I would also love to do a video speaking about how I got to where I am, all things that I've talked about before on the podcast. but I don't feel that it's necessary for me to be like on YouTube in a completely new audience. Like, hey, you don't know me, you don't care about me. Here's how I got to be who I am. That would be a little bit perhaps narcissistic and just pointless. So if a subscriber base does build up, I would be interested in doing that.
And I would point people to Greg's I think Greg's excellent bizarre adventure. I forget which one we called it, but we'll put in the description for this episode, which basically are pieces and chronicles of Greg's full journey to where he is now and who he is now. So please indulge in that narcissism and listen to that episode, because it's such an amazing journey. And for those who haven't heard Greg on much recently, I think it's definitely worth going back and listening. Now, Greg, I think the question on all of our minds are, where did you find all of the depraved and rabid animals to draw those images for you?
I think one viewer mentioned, like, do you live near Zoo to find all those animals? Yeah, I just, I worked to, okay, the big critique of the video is that I'm not able to use manga images, which is kind of a duh. And you know what, I'm really happy is that people aren't ragging on me for it. They're like, oh man, this video sucks because it doesn't have this. They're just like, hey, man, they're like, I understand your position, but it kind of ruins the video for me that you don't have manga images and you have these mock-up images. Or you have images that like you drew, which is, as Zach is referring to, is all of the images that I drew by hand. My drawings are abysmal, and they've all been written. They've all been written on memo pads because that's the only thing I had lying around at the time, and I didn't want to use a full piece of paper. So it's me with a pen, like trying to draw these tiny little things on the space of a memo pad. I've got them lying around my desk here right now, and I was just like, I've got to bring some form of humor to it. So for both my renditions of manga images and for the mock-up pages of manga, I tried to figure out a way I could insert some humor into it. So for the images, I was just like, I guess I could take some of the attention off myself if I was like, yeah, this was drawn by a rabid manatee or something. So that's how I came up with the idea for that. And I just figured, Oda has his animal thing, and there's no shortage to animals in the world. So I figured I can just keep going through that and create more highly disturbed animals. See how dark and deep we can go with that. There's a manga
that, well, it would be interesting. How's everything been going with the V Jump and the One Piece column on the official website? Because
the V Jump,
the
V Jump is on and off. I will have like 2 months where there's nothing, and then a month where he's like, hey, we want to do like a X number of pages spread. And so I'm just like, all right, okay, whatever, guys, and just go on and off on that. So that's fun, keeping me busy, but that's a good thing at this junction. The column is, I'm on top of it now. Like whenever I get new chapters, I will sit down that day and try to finish, if not everything, at least half of the write-up. So I'm not behind. I was playing catch up for a long time, and that kept me very, very busy. But now I'm just doing one thing at a time, and it's freed up a lot of my time during the week, which is good on a personal level. Nothing planned in particular for the celebration of the 20th anniversary, at least not that I'm aware of. Sometimes they come to me like 11th hour and like, hey, we want you to do this or that. But like I said, yeah, if you're in the Tokyo area, do keep your eyes on the telly on One Piece's birthday, official public birthday,
July 22nd. We should say July 22nd. So yeah,
that's actually something I was curious about. Like, what's because you don't live in Tokyo, so how much is there actually national network television in Japan? Do things not get shown other places?
That's correct.
Damn.
There are affiliates that will show things, but I don't know who's affiliated with TV Tokyo, and like even if there are affiliates, that's all they are. They're not required to show all the original programming. So, boy, like remember during Film Gold there was that interview with Oda that ran, right? There was that TV special. That didn't run in Fukui. That didn't run where I live. Yeah. It's really, I don't know. I don't want to say skeevy, but it's real underhanded how some of these things work. They just, I don't know if they expect people not to be linked by the internet anymore. Like, how do they expect, especially the One Piece anime? I mean, I've talked about this before, how it runs now at 2 a.m. on Wednesdays in Fukui, for 3 weeks behind Tokyo. It's just like,
Jeez.
what era are you people living in that you think this is okay? There are people, I'm like, in Twitter on Japanese, I try to get people, riled up. I'm like, people in America are watching this weeks before you do at a convenient time.
We would not stand for this.
Yeah, right?
No,
well.
the entire American and international fan base would riot at that. I mean, especially since today, I mean, Greg, you remember it wasn't that long ago when there wasn't any legal, somewhat simultaneous, broadcast of any anime, and now we're all, at least in the United States, with One Piece, we get it earlier than you get it then.
That's right. In Fukui, you get it earlier than I officially get it in Fukui. Yes, well, 3 weeks earlier. In Japan,
On demand.
On demand. Wait, is it free? It's free. Is that what on demand means? Sorry, I'm out of the lingo.
No, it just means like we can watch it whenever we want, over and over.
Oh, jeez.
But also free for a lot of people with commercials, right? I think One Piece
Yeah.
is free on Crunchyroll. Yeah.
I think it's not in HD and there are commercials, but yeah.
But if you pay for it, you get HD and no commercials. So, I mean, it's not that much money either.
Oh, commercials on something you're watching. Poor children, suffering children of the world.
Hey,
You say that,
I'll
but that
gladly
is-
pay for no commercials. So
How else am I
Exactly.
supposed to know what Nerf gun to get? Oh,
Nerf guns.
whatever they used to play on Kotu Network. So, Ed and Sam, we also have Greg here, and we haven't had him on in a really long time, and a lot has happened in the manga, so for those who don't want to hear spoilers, maybe we should tell you to cut ahead a little bit. Do you guys have questions as to, like, what he thinks about the current events of the manga? Or
Sure. I mean, last year, this whole past year was supposed to be the year of Sanji. Like, how do you feel about Sanji at this point of Whole Cake Island? Like, he just like the interaction that they had in the last chapter with him carrying Nami and seeming to get a little like jealous of it a little bit. That was kind of a unique moment because he was like saving Nami and didn't have hearts in his eyes. It was odd.
That is a genuine smile, isn't it?
yeah.
That is a human smile. He's genuinely happy, and so is she. So is Nami.
Right.
She's just like, I still think there's going to be comeuppance for when he betrayed them and she gave him that slap. But I'm really happy that Oda did that. There are a lot of people. You mentioned the kind of I guess upset response that I've seen in at least the Western world to the labeling of the Year of Sanji. A lot of people rolling their eyes at it. I had no expectations, so I was perfectly fine with it. I do think that he delivered on that point in the fact that the story revolved around Sanji. That's how I took it. I was hoping he would do some cool stuff, but the story did revolve around him. It was they are where they are because of Sanji, and because I didn't read anything more into it, I was satisfied on that front. I can see how a lot of hype gets built up and how people can feel burned by that. I was not a burn victim, so to speak. I would like to believe that what we will see from Sanji in terms of action or, I guess, payoff is still to come, and it will be wonderful.
How much action do you think is even left in this arc? Like, do you think there's still going to be like full blown fights?
That's a really good question. Like, what? I don't believe there will be full blown fights, and that links back into my idea about what's going to happen with Mom. Something that what I'm always
do you
trying
want
to
to
do.
reiterate? I know you've talked a little bit about your theory when you were last on, but it's been a little while. So for newer people listening, kind of your general arc that you might have in your head. I don't know if it still is the same.
It's not the same. I mean, there are similar beats that I feel it will hit, but boy, things have been changing so much. Every time, like let's see what just happened. The
Tamate Bako
falling off the top of the whole cake chateau,
flying away.
That even in and of itself is huge to the story, because you know it's going to come into play somehow. Okay, so that means there's going to be a set change. That means we're going to have to follow that down, and something's going to have to happen there. Will it be during a conflict? Will it be after a conflict? We don't know, but that tells you immediately that there's going to be some scene or something that takes place below. If it was an insane bomb, I mean, Jesus, have you seen the last episode of the anime?
Yeah.
The
which
one
one are you
aired?
talking?
Yes.
Yeah, the most recent for all the U.S. fans. You look in the background of some of those extended shots, those wide view shots of the Vinsmoke Castle, and what do you see there but Whole Cake Chateau? And the Vinsmoke Castle is enormous. There's a shot of Sanji on the balcony, right? And he's so tiny on this one balcony in that castle. And you look behind the castle, and Whole Cake Chateau is flipping huge. It's like you're not even at the top of it, and it's already beyond the clouds, the cotton candy clouds. So one of my ideas was like, well, what if the Tamate Bako falls off and like detonates and destroys, or at least cripples, part of Whole Cake Chateau? And I was just like, well, no, that doesn't seem to work for a couple reasons. But I mean, it's just something like that. I won't go into detail, but something like that changes how I think about what Oda can do and what beats he has to hit to deliver on a coherent story. So when it falls off, you're just like, all right, okay, well, that means we're going down at some point. Obviously, our characters want to go down there, but I mean, it's something that will tie into the story. So week to week, events like that are where I just read it and I think, well, how can that logically tie into the action and the drama where that's flowing? How can this tie together? So, boy, I don't know if you have a specific question about what any character is going to do at this point, because, boy, I could go on forever. I feel like, oh, boy, oh, geez, I'm watching Fargo too much.
I mean, I'm fine with you going on forever, but I mean, do Ed or Sam have a specific question as Greg's trajectory, I guess, what you'd like to call it?
Well, I think ultimately there isn't going to be, like, the entirety of this arc will end up playing out on the island, because I don't know how much Big Mom is going to leave the island. It's about the Straw Hats and Co. escaping.
I actually want to ask, what did you think of the flashback?
The flashback. My God, you know what? I was full on belly laughing when I first read it. And I wasn't entirely through the chapter yet, because I got to the point where Carmel was revealed to be evil, and I was laughing. I was dying. We were driving on the highway at the time. Or my wife was. I wasn't driving and reading manga at the same time.
Thank God.
I had my show copy out,
and she was just like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm just like, "Oh man, I called it." And I completely believed that those were false memories of Carmel that had been implanted in Mom. And I was just like, "Yeah, woo!" And then I got to the end, and I was just like, wait, what? And it went. As I assume many people did, I went back and read the last, I guess 3 or 4 pages, and it was just like, no, 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 no. Um, so that was great. That was um, definitely I don't want to say subversion of my expectations, but a kind of a, a trip around my expectations, which is what I was hoping for. Um,
It's always great when Oda does do that, and I know he's always trying to do that with varying levels of success. But I think he did that with all of us.
yeah, I always say, like, nobody wants me to be wrong more than me, and I was so pleased with that. I mean, very, very dark. My only problem is, I no, I used to say, sorry, I can't like Attack on Titan. I'm not cool with it with a series where people
go
eat
and
people.
cry in the corner.
Yeah, but now I don't. I guess I can't say that. I hope. Well, yeah. So, a little bit of eating my own, little taste of my own medicine there. But yeah. So I guess Mom, like, what's going to happen with Mom? Is this going to be? Are the events going to happen on Whole Cake Island? Which is a good point that Ed raised. I don't know because we've seen. Well, we have a couple things on the table. We've seen hills that are alive. The hills are alive, and they were literally alive at the sound of music when Mom was singing. So, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, no, that's good.
Episode title. No. So I mean, we have look how crazy and creepy Prometheus and Zeus get when they go into like fight mode. I mean, they look scary. So what about those hills? What about the rainbow? What can they look like when they're in battle mode? We also have, and not that this is linked to Mom, but don't forget there's that strange object in the sky that sucked up Beige 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, is that an island or is that Mom related? I mean, if so, then this could very easily go multi-island. And by multi-island, I mean within Totland. I believe that all of this will definitely conclude within Totland. I believe all this will conclude within Totland, but I don't know if it's going to go multi-island within Totland because of Mom's weather powers and how all-encompassing they are. This goes back to what Sam said, is what do you think the length of this is going to be? And I don't know if it can be multi-island if Oda is going to reach his goal for the year. And I think he can. I think that's one of the more realistic goals that he set for himself.
Zach, do you have the Whole Cake Island contest answers?
I will. Well, if you warned me, no, I'll get that open. I do that to you all the time, so I kind of deserve that.
As heard on the Patreon episode.
Yeah, I don't know if Greg did make a prediction for that, but I could find out.
I don't think so.
Well, we could do it right now, even. Since who the hell knows when it's gonna end? It's not like
just for fun, you know.
Yeah.
This would be off the cuff. It's not my official Greg, but let's see. Without really thinking, I would say Oda has a boner for those hundreds, doesn't he?
Well, let me see
for big movements in the story.
Let's see if I have. Oh, no, I didn't look. Keep going.
I would say 20, 25 chapters from now.
So
wow.
So that's 895. Is that
894?
894.
So did anyone pick 890? No, you could choose that. Steven picked 895 though.
Okay.
So that's probably a good sign for you. And we did this a long time ago.
Yeah.
Gaming the
what did you
Price
guess,
is Right
Zach?
rules.
Yeah, sure, I could go through at least the people here. I picked 901 because I did not want to win. Greg, I don't know if you know, but the winner has to host their own episode of the One Piece podcast. So
Has to.
I'm going to. No, you don't get a choice. The winner has to.
No, it's but Jill hasn't even done hers yet.
Well, eventually has to. I have to force her to do it. That doesn't. Okay. But yeah.
What's Fire Crouch's prediction?
Fire Crouch hasn't been on the podcast in a few years. I don't know. He's out there with the pwn goats, I assume. Some sort of goat.
I think he did live on a farm at one
Gary
point.
the goat.
Yes. How do you fill your podcast list days, Craig? I don't. without all this fire crouch talk. What else is going on in Whole Cake Island that I want to... how do you think the treatment of the Vinsmokes Germa have been so far? They played pretty prominently last week.
Yeah, I liked their whole Sailor Moon transformation. That was cool.
So we're calling Sailor Moon. That's the one.
Yeah, he is the one. I think that's my column title. She is the one named Reiju. What? I don't know. I mean, what do I think of their treatment? I mean, we know how they have to, from a narrative perspective, and how Oda handles his heroes and his villains. We know that they have to end up basically in awe of Sanji. Now they're begrudgingly, I guess, indebted to him. You get that in that like stare that Sanji and Judge share, right? Where Sanji, like, he doesn't even say anything. He just like thumbs behind him. He's like, into
that was
the
an
castle.
underrated part of the last chapter, I thought.
Yeah, that was important because Judge is safe because of him, and Sanji orders Judge around, and Judge is like, razzle, and he does it. He's safe there. But I mean, this is another thing, like for knowing where the story is going to go, how the story is going to play out. Who can help the Straw Hats at this point? Because where the last chapter ended, we are supposed to feel defeated.
Yeah. But
it's impossible to feel that way because we know they now have an entire clone army a country of clone armies at their disposal. A. B. They have the prisoners who were released, who were running around, who we just assume are all burned out, but are probably not in the Odaverse.
So the entire prison library has been set aflame? I didn't know that was confirmed or not.
I don't know if it was the entire, but I mean, so many people got out.
Okay.
And I mean, we don't know what happened to them. That was never resolved. So, what's his name? Opera kept that a secret. So they're running around. Whether Oda does anything with that or not is completely besides the point. But I do believe he intentionally had them freed. So if he needs to pull something out of, I want to say out of his butt. That's, but if he wants to pull something out of there, then he has them to easily do that. Who else? I made a list of like who can help them. Oh, the Fishman Pirates. Like if they pull a Yui, and if they're like, you know what? Nah, maybe we should help. There's also Peckham's, and I'm not sure if he wants to help the Straw Hats so much at this point. But I still trust him as a character who is indebted to them. So he's still somewhere as well. He's a part of the story.
Perhaps a mediator for resolution to this conflict.
Or you could help them get away and then cover it up or something.
You could help them get away, cover it up, and like that, they would be basically even Steven after that, considering what they've done. Considering all of that, what they have on their side, the timing, and then mom's weather powers. Because I mean, if she has weather powers, then I mean that's a perfect suit for Nami. I don't believe any one Straw Hat or Team Straw Hat will defeat her. I think it's going to be a group effort, which would make the most sense at this point for a emperor. It would be absurd if Luffy did this entirely himself. Nami could work on the weather. Luffy could work on defense and the brunt of it. Chopper, I believe, working on trying to cure her. Sanji with you know my idea on the wedding cake.
Yeah.
Which I still totally believe is going down.
Do you want to say a succinct version of that for people who might?
There is no succinct version of that, my friend. But I as quick as possible, I believe that Sanji will have to cooperate with the members of Mom's family to save everybody, to get Mom out of a cake rage. Because remember, she's not angry about the cake. She's just focused on being angry at the Straw Hat crew right now.
There's so many things to be angry at.
Yeah.
Gotta peel those layers. Basically.
Actually, she's focused on beige at this very moment. And then I think the next layer is the Straw Hats. And the next layer is what was the thing after that? I can't even remember. I think there was one more thing before we get to the cake.
But the team up idea sounds a lot like the Oars fight, which is one of my favorites.
Oh God, yeah, to have that again. Oh, would be wonderful. There's just think about it, folks. There are way too many characters for one-on-one, and the Straw Hats are way overpowered here. Even okay, can they have assistance to escape? Yes, that's a given. They can always have assistance to get away, but there's no way that they could deal with this many high rollers. They're completely outnumbered and outclassed.
I think that was the purpose of that panel from not last week. I think it was the week before with all of the with with all of the foot soldiers essentially just coming up and ready to kick some ass.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but
Yep.
yeah, it definitely feels like a more dire situation. Even though, as One Piece fans, we know Luffy will win and it will be fine at the end of the day. We're not in Marineford, so I assume it won't be quite as dire as that. Um, I mean, where do you kind of see the world after this? I mean, if you have any idea.
Yeah, that's a good question. We have the reverie going on, right? Which Oda said that he wants to deal with.
And
I
which all
don't see.
fans will hold him to doing this year or else.
Yes.
Yes.
Um. Hmm. Where does 894 put us? Is that where would that be?
864.
Would that be in like fall?
Oh, 894. Yeah, that might be early next year.
Would it be early next year?
The prediction
Jeez.
I had was, or like, if you map out the amount of chapters from last year to this year,
Yeah.
we would end at 888 this year.
We'd end at 888.
Or around.
Wow. Jeez. I want to believe that he's going to do it this year. I don't know if he can. I wanted to believe that he would definitely follow through on doing Wano in the 20th year. But I don't know. Jeez, it depends if he's just doing Escape or not. You really have to commit to one idea, don't you? And that's tough for me.
To be fair, Steve predicted 888, so if it ends then, at the end of the year, there you go. Yeah, Steve did. Casey said after that, but I don't know.
If for him to do a big action piece, it would have to go quite far in the year, wouldn't it? Well, anyway, my point is, I want to bring this back around to this is just my thought process, but to doing the Reverie. If he wants to do the Reverie within the year, I don't believe that it's something that logistically he can get Luffy to, at least with the current information we have. If there's someone who has powers to get him there, or
unless he traveled with Germa.
Unless he traveled with Germa. There's no realistic way for him to go there. And I think Stephen and I have talked about this from a story perspective. If your story is a tree, if your manga is a tree, you want to always be going in the same direction. You want to be going either up, and you can branch out, but those branches are still going to be pointing up. And from that point, you continue to go back to the trunk and you go up. We did a branch with when the crew was split up at Shabondi. Everybody branched out, but we didn't see any characters go back, move back in a physical location. So will Luffy go back to Marijoa, to the Red Line? I don't know if thematically that's something that Oda wants to do with his character. I personally don't find it interesting for Luffy to go back and then come back to where he is now, at least with the information we have. I think that would defeat the journey to this point. And I would hope that Luffy would be disappointed with that as well.
In line with that, that actually sounds very similar to what Araki is saying in his How to Make Manga book, where he's like the progress of your hero has to just keep going up and up and up and up without taking dips back down.
Yeah, thank you. So I cool, thanks, awesome. Whose book is that again?
Hirohiko Araki, the author of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, Araki has a book.
Yeah, and it came out in America.
Yeah, they published it in English. I think one of Steve's drawing, is it in the book, or were they just using it to advertise the book? Sam, if you have the book.
What drawing? I have it right here.
Steve had a drawing that.
They put it on their Twitter for fan art.
Oh yeah, it's not in the book.
Okay, well that's why I was asking. I don't have it yet, so. But I mean, I completely agree with you, Greg. I think the Reverie personally, at least what I've been saying on the show, would be more of a departure from the story for the reader and not so much for Luffy, which we've done before in the manga. But I don't see any point of Luffy being there. I don't even know what he would do in that circumstance.
Luffy is in the story too much recently, and by recently
There's
I
one
mean
thing we can say.
like 10 years. No, maybe not 10 years. I'd say for the past 8 years or so, Luffy's been in the story too much. And
You know how long we've been doing this show, Greg?
You've been doing. Wow, what was it?
8 years.
It's exactly 8 years, isn't
8
it?
years.
Yeah. Strong World era, right? So like
Yep.
Marineford, Impel
Impel
Down.
Down in the manga.
That's
I know
exactly
exactly
where
what
I
you're talking
think-
about.
Yep.
Twitch
He's
Luffy.
Thriller Bark was great. We had Luffy breaks, but ever since then, it's been nonstop Luffy, and I don't need updates on where he is. Some of the strongest stories in One Piece are when we've had chapters and chapters, almost a volume away from Luffy. Alabaster, just look at that. We have no idea where he was. Skypia, yeah, in the Snake. I'm one of the few. I'm the guy who likes that Luffy was in the Snake.
I hate
because
you,
of how
Greg.
because of how important the Snake was to the story ultimately. I do
Fine,
appreciate.
I'll give you that, but he's always stuck in things.
It's a good snake.
So, I would love it if the Reverie was a series of setup chapters. Let's say I would say 3. I don't know if
that
he's
should
willing
be a
to say more
separate
than that.
prediction one. How long will the Reverie arc, or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, I mean, if Luffy's involved, then F it, it's all off. But if he's not, then I think it would make a good 3-4 chapter break. And okay, so you asked about general direction. Who do I see showing up there? We're going to Wano. We know that Kaido is the threat at Wano. We haven't seen anything from Blackbeard. Will we see something from him at the end of this arc? I think it's the perfect time to. And what would be a better place to see that than at Reverie, to see him make his move?
Yeah, I think I feel like we discussed this once too. I really like that idea.
Yeah, we very well might have. See him do his thing, and then come back to the Straw Hats as they go to Wano.
Yeah. After he was last at Baltio, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's getting around. Although who knows exactly what sea is Baltigo?
Hey, don't don't forget about everyone's favorite character, Whitebeard Jr.
Oh God.
Oh, now isn't he interesting?
No,
He's
because-
interesting.
Hold on.
All right.
Because, okay, I learned to love this guy after I learned. I'm with Alec. Alex got this, I think, for me, but like once you realize that he's designed after an elephant, suddenly you love his design. Personally, I did at least. I was just like, oh, I would have had an idea for this guy. He's not just another freaky looking character, deformed Eggman. But this recent development with Carmel possibly adds an interesting fold to his story. What if Bakin was one of the people who ran the government orphanages, and she saw the potential in this dude, and she was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna totally use this guy." What if she's basically like a modern day Carmel? What if she even worked with Carmel or was in the same business with Carmel, and she just took this guy and used him for her own? I mean, obviously she's using him, but what if that was the connection to how she came by this guy? Interestingly enough, if you go back to Nami's backstory in Volume 9, it's mentioned that, like, I think is mentioning it to her, like, to Belmere. He's like, why didn't you just give them to one of the government orphanages? The orphanages were, I don't want to say, what's Fukusen in English? God, not predicted. It's foreshadowed. They were not I'm going to say he was like writing chapter 77, and he's like, oh man, I'm gonna have this orphanage and it's gonna be this great twist in volume 85. And that's or 86. That's not what I'm saying, but just the fact that they're set up there shows that they are something that have been in this world and people could easily abuse them. So what if Weevil is an orphan that has been taken up by a successor of Carmel? interesting, right? I mean, I don't instantly love the character, but it at least creates potential for something interesting to occur there, I think.
And the warlords are pretty likely to show up at the Reverie, right? You think? If they want to.
I mean, how many of them are left?
Mihawk. Mihawk's a wild card.
Mihawk's, what is he tending his plants right now?
He's planting.
Yeah. I mean that.
I told you guys
time.
my idea for that, right?
Oh no, please. You might have. I don't remember.
So there's the popular theory. I like to think that if Oda has two choices, if he's given choice A or choice B, and he can only have those choices, he will always take choice C. And that is because he likes to surprise people, think outside the box. So the question on everybody's lips is, did Zoro defeat Mihawk? Yes or no? He either did or didn't. We have two choices. So what's Oda's decision there? What would be his third choice? What if it doesn't matter if Mihawk is Zoro's goal or not anymore? What if during those 2 years Mihawk lost to Shiryu during a confrontation? Doesn't that instantly make Zoro's goal Shiryu and tie everything in a nice little bow?
Interesting.
Wonder when that would have happened, though.
During 2
yeah,
years,
I mean,
yeah.
During 2 years, I mean, what? Basically, all of One Piece up until the time skip occurred in what, like 3-4 months? So, which is crazy when you think about how attached Brook is to the crew. He was with them for like, I don't know, a couple days.
Right.
Yeah, but it psychologically it makes sense. He was alone for all of those
absolutely
decades.
does make sense, but it's funny to think about.
I mean,
he's like, he met these guys for a couple days, 2 days, maybe even, and he's just like, oh, I have to find them, and he works 2 years to find these guys. It's great.
What a sad, hilarious story. So I also want to ask you how you think Elbaf is going to fit into this picture.
Ooh,
because that's a whole other,
So I've probably mentioned before that Elbaf is like my idea for the cooldown arc, before heading into the final arc. Like everybody, either that or at this point I'm thinking the pirates, the pirate island, because we know there's a pirate island out there somewhere, right, where they play pirate games, their little reindeer games, and I wanted to believe, at least until recently, that Elbaf would be like the cooldown, like the where everybody can kind of get their stuff together, arc or island. And thanks to this flashback, I think we know that the crew is indeed heading in that direction eventually. I say that because of the mysterious object, which I'm just going to call the World Tree at this point, because it seems pretty likely for what it could be, should be. I don't know if it's Atomwood or not, but that seems like a pretty good guess. And I have instantly got to thinking, like, what would be the most... Okay, so that would be our cooldown arc. But we've got this big tree. Oda has to, at that point in the story, make Whitebeard a zombie. It's the zombie season of One Piece. No, that was Thriller Bark.
I was going to say that happened, right?
Yeah, Lost reference for anybody who remembers 10 years ago. So
how can I forget?
How could he make Whitebeard terrifying at that point in the story? Like, what could he do to create drama at Elbaf? And he can easily use that tree. It's a giant... I'm trying not to curse in my daily life, but I'll make an exception for the podcast. It's a giant fuck off tree. Possibly even Atomwood tree, right? What would be the craziest thing Oda could do at that point in the story is to destroy it, to have either Blackbeard or one of Blackbeard's crew destroy that tree, just as a sign of their strength. I mean, because it'd be crazy balls. Because like there are mountains that we see there, right, on Elbaf, and the mountains are absolutely dwarfed by what I'm assuming is the World Tree. The coolest thing that could possibly happen is for them to show up there, and to just destroy Elbaf.
It makes the tree on O'Hara look really tiny. I'll say that, if that's the case. Yeah.
So that was my thought there. building off the tree.
Um,
That would be a great place for Blackbeard to show his face and to really mess things up for the Straw Hats and the Giants.
I'm noticing a lot of Blackbeard in your predictions, which it's true at this point. We have not really seen a lot of him, especially as we've come to the New World beyond this stuff with Burgess.
We still have not seen his post-time skip design.
Nope.
Although the anime would tell you differently, yes. His nose looks like Usopp's nose, which I could make a YouTube video about a little bit later.
Yeesh.
Is there anything else you want to talk to Greg about? Ask Greg about?
Yeah. Where do you think the general roadmap for the Vinsmokes is right now? Because the Reiju is the one that's interesting to me because she's in like a distinctly different sympathetic position than the others. It makes me think that there's got to be like a split between them at some point or something.
I'm doing Mind Palace right now. I want to believe that. I want to believe that they have their spirit has to be broken. They follow Judge. The boys follow Judge. So they basically have to break Judge. They have to whittle him down to understanding that science doesn't make a person. It's internal strength that makes a person. You need to reevaluate your entire life and your life goals. I do believe he's a total butthole.
They
from
basically
the
have to do
start.
the whole plot of Rick and Morty in one arc.
Yes, he's a scientific genius but see, there's like shades of goodness that you see in Rick, and there are also shades of something that was once a person that you see in this fellow. One of them being his wife. I mean, she married that, or she was involved with that, and he cared for her. She did have a nice grave. These thoughts of mine regarding him have gotten me in trouble with Japanese fan base. I've gotten hate mail and like flame mail from the column page for like, you don't understand what Judge is about. He's a vile human. God forbid. I suggested that Sanji might it was wild theory, and I know it's wild. I put it out there to be wild, but like I suggested that Sanji might marry Stussy. I had my reasons for it. I have my reasons for it. Later, not now, but at the end of the series, and like the vitriol that came my way was just ugh. But so I
you don't mess with people shipping. I mean, that's just you're jumping into some territory there.
So what do I think? I think that all they have to do is break Judge, and he's been seen, sobbing in front of everybody. That's a big barrier. He's begrudgingly following Sanji. But the next thing that he has to do is he has to accept that Sanji's respect for food is valid, that it means something, that it's important, and that all of his science, all of his abilities mean nothing if he doesn't have character. That's what he has to understand and realize and be forced to understand. I might have mentioned this before, but I see him ultimately crying at Sanji and like asking like, "Forgive me, my son," kind of thing. And Sanji just being like, "You're not my dad. My dad is in East Blue, and his name is Zeph." And I think he would at that moment, Judge would understand what he said to Sanji when they parted ways. When he was a child, he was like, "You're not my son. Don't tell anybody that you're my son." We need to see that scene mirrored.
Wow. Yeah, I like that.
It's a good parallel.
And I mean, I don't understand the vitriol about that, because Oda's like playground are in shades of gray with people.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, I can't even imagine I don't imagine Blackbeard being 100% evil. He might be close at the end of the day.
You got that child scene of him crying under the moon.
Yeah. Everyone, there's a couple, but there's very few human beings that are just 100% evil, at least in Oda's universe.
That's one of the weird things about One Piece is that because his villains are so cartoonishly evil, and yet there's still this kind of steadfast commitment to like moral ambiguity even there.
Enneru might
Well,
be the one.
think about all the
exception.
villains. Impel Down. We have an arc of villains who have become, begrudgingly or otherwise, supporters of Luffy.
Who would have
We even have
imagined
Crocodile. Crocodile's
yeah.
holding a
Crocodile.
umbrella over puppies now. I mean,
What a life change. No, it's well said. Any
so
other?
Sam,
Yeah.
you just to get back to address the meat of your question. So where do you see them? I guess going. What do you see the road? What's the roadmap for the Vinsmokes? Is I want to believe that they will ultimately be support for Luffy. Now, that's a very good idea about them possibly taking Luffy to Reverie if that goes down that way.
My theory is that they will go to Reverie. I don't necessarily think that they'll take Luffy with them, but I think they will be there and some kind of change in.
Most of the talk about Reverie has been like notches in who supports the Straw Hats and who does not. And I think the number of people who support the Straw Hats is kind of, I guess, an important factor in whatever the hell is going to happen.
It's creeping up there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying
You
to
got
think
Drum, you got Vivi. I don't know if there's a
Ursa.
representative Water 7, but
I assume there is.
I mean, it would be Iceberg.
Yeah. Although they never showed him in that thing. I would have said Kano Country, but it seems they're sending another representative there.
Kano's going. That's the Emperor. But the important thing there is we need to know if Chinjiao discusses things with the Emperor of Kano. I'm calling him the Emperor just because come on, it's China, so
yeah.
If Chinjiao and Sai are able to meet with him, then that's another one.
I still wish we had the opportunity to go to Kano. I don't know if that's actually gonna. It's in a different blue, right? It's not even in the New World, if I recall.
I do not recall offhand where Kano is.
There's also the Fishman Island issue.
Oh, Fishman Island. Sorry.
Fishman, thank you. Yeah.
As much as we try to forget about it, it has some relevance.
Look, that's a big one. That's a big one.
Well, the Fishman Island is going to have a lot of stuff happening now. Like, there's no way they're not going to address Luffy's, like, Luffy versus Big Mom's, like, I'm going to take Fishman Island as my territory thing. There's no way that's not coming up by the end of this arc.
Fair.
Yeah.
And even, like, where Fishman Island is going to be in the world.
Physically located, yes.
That too. Yeah. There's a lot. Or if it's going to be part of the world government, as, you know, a member of the Reverie, or part of the Straw Hat, you know, protectorate. I don't know what you would want to call it. And the fallout for everything that happens in this arc on top of that. I mean, everything's already in flux after Dressrosa, as we saw, so... And also, I guess how the current cover story fits into everything. I mean, do you have any thoughts on... We haven't seen very much of it so far, but the cover story, Greg, and where you think that's going? If anywhere?
So I didn't... I'd like to take this chance to ask you guys. I did not understand the at least what was being either intimated or I didn't understand the point of the last cover story, and I have not read Stephen's translation. What was going on there in Japanese? It completely went over my head.
Let me see if I could.
The Cavendish was telling a story about his youth to Suleiman.
No. You're the Bartolomeo one.
It's Bartolomeo. Now that we've changed over him.
I could read you the translation just one.
I mean, that one's still just starting, right?
Yeah, it's the very
it's just starting.
It says,
I didn't even get what the setup was. Or
it's the usual ruckus from the Barto Club, is Stephen's translation. I mean,
okay, the usual ruckus. Okay, all right. So like we've got this guy on the Den Mushi, and they're all like, "Whoa!" So I don't understand the connection there. I'm very interested to see what's going on. Because I have no idea. Are they connected? Are they contacting them? Are they getting information from Morgan's? Like, are we supposed to assume that these events are transpiring simultaneously?
It's never happened before, I don't think.
I don't think so either. I mean, Wapples is like all over the place, right? But
yeah.
The one I'm most curious about now is Sai and Chinjiao.
Sai and Chinjiao. Well, with the Reverie thing going on,
yeah. or at least how that fits in, or if any of these are going to fit into anything, or if they're going to just be weird backstory / side story things.
By the way, have you guys missed my South African, Canadian, New Jersey accent?
Yes.
I know it's music on the ears. I know, so
I'm lost.
I just threw an A in there, so I was
okay.
wondering if
No, I did miss that. Yes, I recall how you came about your South African, Canadian, New Jersey accent.
Yeah,
it's got to be a weird combo putting poutine on pizza, and I don't know what the food in South Africa is, the national dish, but throw that on there as well.
Yeah, they eat a series of running animals that are fast. I've had some of it before, and it's bull tongue. Is it bull tongue? I think it's bull tongue.
Mm.
I had some cow tongue on the train in Japan, I remember.
Okay, so like bull tongue, not. This is the bull tongue episode where we discuss South African delicacies.
I mean,
bill tongue. And it's not actual tongue. I believe it's the name of the bill tongue is a form of dried cured meat that originated in South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Namibia.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh, so
it's like South African jerky.
Good. Yeah, jerky's good. Okay, I think that's.
So now that we've got that settled.
Oh, I want to ask you. I know, Greg, you have been a fan of this series for a very long time. If people don't know, you've had your ups with it, you've had your downs with it. How do you feel about this arc so far?
I'm nothing but positive from the start of the arc to where we are right now. I love it. I've been wrong about predictions. I've been right about predictions. I don't know. There are weeks where I don't know where the characters are going. There are weeks where I can get a glimpse of what's happening or what Oda's trying to do. It doesn't feel like he's tagging anything on. There aren't any that I'm aware of that stick out in my mind. There aren't any broad, vague devil fruit powers. Maybe some people might disagree, but I mean, I just remember going through Dressrosa being like, this power is BS, that power is BS, that power is BS.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Really? Well, I mean,
no, I'm joking.
Oh, okay, okay.
Very much joking.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
I I know I've been saying this since the new world. Like, how many times has Oda's back, baby. He's brought it back. He's back. Oda has been back in various ways.
To be fair, that's your catchphrase.
Right. Thank you. So Fishman Island was Fishman Island. Punk Hazard started off amazing, and Dressrosa.
Punk Hazard is difficult because it's like set up for Dressrosa.
I will tell you why Punk Hazard destroys everything. Punk Hazard is a wonderful idea that is entirely destroyed by the fact that one of the big centerpieces of the arc is this slime, not amphibian.
Slimy.
What do we call it?
Smiley.
That was one more time. You got it, Sam.
Axolotl.
Thank you. Just rolls off the tongue again. That is combustible, right? Like they're like, hey, let's get a flamethrower. They blow it and it blows up. How is it able to transverse the entirety of the fire island from one end to the other without blowing up? That just ruins the entire. I mean, cool Yeti Brothers aside, Yeti Cool Brothers aside, that is just like, Oda, you did not think about what you were doing, and that ruins a great deal of it. His handling of the factory is amazing. How the factory works together and is assembled. Wow, good on you, Oda, for that one, because that must have been hell. Figuring out how the gas reaches through it and the floors and which section it's in. He did a great job there, but Dressrosa again. A lot of good ideas that were just too many. It was overcrowded, and I think even Oda felt bogged down. He didn't get time to explore his villains, and it shows. And we had vague devil fruit powers all over, broad and vague devil fruit powers all over the place. this time it seems very straightforward. We have an oven person. We have a person who makes mochi, and also, by the way, has badass hockey. I enjoy everything about this arc. Screams modern, the modern version of classic Oda to me.
Well said. Yeah, I think most of our newer listeners and newer participants would agree with you there. It's still very hard for me, and I'm sure for you as well, to just judge these kind of arcs as they're ongoing. But I'm looking forward to having some perspective and thinking I had a lot of fun with that, and I definitely am week to week. So Greg, big thanks for coming on, talking about your YouTube channel, your column. You want to let people know where they could find all of that?
Sure. The YouTube channel is Ochimusha108, and you can now find it not with the 0 at the front. It's the 0 at the front is there too, but Ochimusha is OCHIMUSHA 108 on YouTube. Please subscribe. Please like. That would help me a great deal, because I don't know how many people know, but the more subscribers you have as a partner, the easier it is to make videos. They will give you more tools to make videos, so that is much needed. I just need to hit 1,000 to get the next set of tools, so help me with my trophy unlock there. As far as the column, there is an English version of the column. People still don't know this. I don't knock you for it, but it's there. Just go to the official one-piece.com website. Click on the star. It's the special section. It's called the special section of the site. Click on the star, then look for my beautiful face in the chopper hat. Click on that, and that will bring you to a list of my articles, a long list of my articles, which you can click on each individual article. And after the jump, there is a button for the English version. Just click that, and it's a lot of clicking involved, but what the hell? And you get instantly the English version of my article. And you can go back there are literally dozens of them at this point that you can go back and read if you've missed them.
It's been 1 or 2 years since you've been doing it. I'm trying to.
I think it's been almost 3.
Wow.
I am close to 100 columns. I think my next one is 83. Wait, did 83 go up? It doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm almost at 100 columns. So,
congratulations!
I've wasted my life.
Greg, thank you so much for coming on. I hope we get you on again soon to join us for a manga recap.
Oh, all my dreams, folks. That's what it's about. To be on that manga recap, you listeners, you don't know what it's like. There's an aura that goes through the Skype conversation, and I don't think it's just my smell. I think it's everybody has their
everybody's smell. Yes,
it's everybody's smell. We all reek,
but it's a good reek. Thanks again, Greg.
Like Theon.
This is the anime recap for episode 794, a battle between father and son, Judge versus Sanji. I am your host Sam, and today with me, once again, we have our good friend Ed.
Hi!
It's the anime recap, once again.
Yeah, this episode had its ups and downs.
Screenplay this week is by Atsuhiro Tomioka. Episode director is Yusuke Suzuki, who I think I've heard that name before, but it usually episode director and storyboard artists are one person together, but this time it's Yusuke Suzuki and storyboard is Tetsuya Endo, and animation director is Kenji Yokoyama. And as for how much content gets covered,
yes, how much? I'm curious.
It is the last 9 pages of 833 and the first 4 pages of 834, which is the Brook and Pedro stuff, which they moved up.
Yeah, that didn't take up much time in this episode either.
Yeah. Title card begins.
Most of the episode is half of a chapter.
Yeah, it basically it's the Sanji versus Judge sparring chapter divided into 2 episodes. Is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Title card this week is 5 minutes and 1 second. It begins with Sanji and Judge. They are staring each other down after Sanji has given his big speech about how he will never use his hands. And immediately, I noticed a new thing on Judge's design. that his
his
eyebrows are colored in now, which was very interesting.
Wonder what that could mean.
Yeah, because the way and I checked last week's episode preview, and even in the preview, his eyebrows were the way that they were for the last week's episode.
Oh.
So it's like this episode aired, and then it was like, no, that's not how his design is supposed to look. It's supposed to look like this, and then they had to fix it, which is super interesting. I have a lot of thoughts about that, a lot of opinions.
Hey, you don't know what it looks like overall, though.
Yeah, I don't know what it looks like overall, but like because the way it was last week was exactly how I thought it would look in color, but then this week it's like, has like Oda been like playing with the black and white to try to fool us, and like, I didn't realize how big and bushy his eyebrows were. I just thought they were thin.
It's not like he's Duke Togo or something, but you know.
So Sanji goes on to say, unless you're food, I'm not going to use blades or hands on you. And the fight continues as Judge uses his like rocket boots to launch himself up in the air. Sanji mentions that, aerial combat, that's my specialty, because obviously he's got the skywalk. He uses his Diable Jambe, and but before he can use it, Judge grabs him by the leg and throws him, saying that war advances science, and gives him a big electro kick. And then so Sanji gets like launched into the wall. He gets big crash, rubble everywhere. Sanji's just sort of laying back, and he starts talking to himself. He starts talking to his child self.
This is the best part of the episode, really. Yeah, I thought and some of the later Sanji material, but
this really is like pretty sweet. Like it's he's like laying back. He's basically trying to figure out if he's double checking with his own memories, if deciding if disassociating with his family is the right thing to do. And he's thinking like man, kid Sanji, you've gone through so much. You don't even have a single good memory of these guys, do you?
Right.
And so he stands up, and there's nice like I like the difference between like how kind of quiet and pretty the music is as Sanji is like slowly standing back up, but then we like cut back to Judge, who's like in mid charge coming back at Sanji.
I like the way Judge looks when he's fighting. That's actually pretty cool, and it makes him look really powerful. So good job there.
I feel like they did a good job with Sanji's posture in this episode. Like he's got that kind of laid back Sanji style.
Yeah, I didn't notice much like a level up of animation, but it was sort of not. I didn't really notice much this week with the art.
I thought it looked pretty good overall. So as this is the part I didn't really understand, where Judge is charging at Sanji, and Sanji's getting ready to clash with his foot, but then the German soldiers stand in their way to show that they're willing to get stabbed by Judge's spear.
Yeah. For
no reason. Like
they are people. They're basically, like they're trained heavily.
I just don't understand like why they jumped into this fight at this moment. Like,
what do you mean? Because he says wall, and that means build a wall around me.
Okay, well then why would Judge want a wall right now?
Because he knew that Sanji. Because he knew that Sanji wouldn't attack if he was because he was stabbing that guy through the chest. That's why. I mean.
So eventually, Judge wins the fight. They clash. Sanji gets sent flying. There's a scene back in the seducing woods. There's not really a whole lot happening here, as Luffy's just sort of interacting with all the trees and the hills and stuff.
I mean, I appreciate the art in it, and it's kind of sinister, but it also serves no purpose.
Yeah, this scene is just absolute fluff that goes nowhere.
I mean, I find the characters interesting, but I feel like I'm not going to for much longer.
Right.
Just like little homies,
So we meet back with Brook and Pedro in the shark submerge, and they're in the orange river. I guess this is like orange juice or like orange soda is what I imagine it is.
I mentioned this like last week, but like stuff like this is what I don't like about the One Piece anime. Like if you're gonna show character story, if you're gonna have their plot in this episode, don't split it up like this unless it's all supposed to be happening exactly simultaneously. Like it almost always works better when you do larger chunks of it at a time and in the same episode.
The Brook and Pedro
stuff like this
did not. The Luffy part bothered me more because it wasn't. I don't think it was really in the manga at all. It's just sort of like, we make up whatever inconsequential little tiny non-event that we can to buy time.
Right.
But the Brook and Pedro stuff, that's in the manga. They arrive in town. We see their
It's
new
not that I mind-
disguises.
It's not that I mind that it's non-canonical. It's just sort of splitting up the plot this way makes it less impactful overall. And I feel like I'm more likely to forget things when they do such quick, quick segments.
Like I think the reason I would favor something that is canonical is because I think that stuff at least moves some portion of the story more.
Yeah.
As opposed to just kind of jogging in place. And so basically this scene is just Brook and Pedro. They overhear, extra, somebody's got the newspaper, something to do with Jimbei. Some event between Jimbei and Big Mom has happened. We have not gotten to see what this is. It's likely connected to, the last scene we saw of those two. But then we return very quickly to the Seducing Woods where Luffy is meeting up with the Mr. Orange Juice guy again. And he helps the guy out by pulling the spear.
Apple juice, wasn't it? Apple juice?
Yeah, Mr. Apple Juice. Did I say orange juice? Yeah, I'm thinking about the river. He finally pulls that spear out that Randolph the rabbit had kind of thrown into the man's head. And then Luffy finds Chopper. He's been looking for his friends this whole time. And he's like, oh, hey, there's a Chopper. But maybe it's not a Chopper. We return back to the Sanji stuff. The fight is over. Reiju is helping Sanji out, applying the Band-Aid on his head. I like that. Like, so far into the series, Band-Aids are still like a good go-to.
Which is weird when you think about like what we saw with Yonji the other episode of him getting like smashed in a vice.
Right.
Like, why would they even? I guess there are other people. The soldiers aren't made out of whatever the Van Smokes are made out of, but like, I guess we do need Band-Aids on board.
Yeah, and Judge appears to basically exchange some more smack talk with Sanji. He's like, my blood is in your veins, so you gotta call me dad. But Sanji's like, no, screw off.
Yeah, I've been finding the performance of the voice actor sort of interesting, as not necessarily what I was expecting. Judge isn't as much of a booming sort of bass imposing voice. He's actually kind of he sounds kind of sleazy or squirmy.
He doesn't have a nasally thing going on.
Yeah, he doesn't like. He's more of a. He's more like Mr. Satan than he's like Cell or something like that.
Yeah.
If you listen to the Japanese versions.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Judge goes on to explain that he wants the relationship with Big Mom, but he doesn't want to actually give any of his favorite sons over into that crazy family. So instead of like one of like ETG or Niji or Yonji marrying into Big Mom's family, he's like, I know I have a failure of a son somewhere else. I wouldn't mind, selling him off to Big Mom. And
this is where we like the idea of the Vince folks being in over their head, like that. That's where this started. That opinion, that line of thought.
So, in order to keep Sanji in line, they decide to strap Sanji in with some bomb handcuffs, these wrist bracelets that work the way that the Celestial Dragon's bomb collars worked back in Sabaody. So, and Judge also goes on to explain that they know about Zeph and that they can go and hunt him down and kill him if Sanji does not cooperate pretty easily.
Like this, I enjoyed this part of the episode because I felt Judge was being very menacing in that way I was talking about. It's not like. It's different. It's different between like being intimidating, but also like
he's underhanded.
Yeah, there you go. I'll say maybe what if it's not eyebrows? Maybe it's just his hairline that comes all the way down that far.
Eyebrows. What about eyebrows? I need a YouTube. I just need somebody should make a YouTube collection of just like isolated sound bites from Fooly Cooly.
You need a soundboard. The days of prank calling.
Oh, I need it. I would use it. Like it happens in my life a lot.
15 years too late.
I could make one. So another quick scene of Luffy in the Seducing Woods. He's seeing his friends sort of popping in and out from behind the trees. Pudding's there too, and it's like, what's going on? Like, why? What are you guys doing? Like, are you not really who I think you are? But the episode eventually does wrap up with a flashback of Zeph and baby Sanji. Zeph is like wrapping up Sanji's hands. I guess Sanji got into a fight.
So many fake episode endings in this episode. Like, I thought the episode ended like 3 times. Like, the first time I felt the episode, this is how long I felt the episode was going. The first time I felt it could have ended was after the part with like, oh, this is the seducing woods, and then we get a Sanji scene, then we get another Luffy scene, and then we get another Sanji scene. I felt the episode could have ended any of those times.
Right. There's a little flashback of Zeph basically instilling the belief that a cook should not use their hands for fighting.
Yeah, this is a powerful scene.
Yeah, and especially like Sanji's frustration as he's like looking down at his hand, and they're like all curling up, and he's shouting, "Damn it!" Like he's in such a pickle now. And that wraps up the episode. Any general thoughts, Ed?
I think I said all I need to say here.
Yeah, I think you did. I had a good time with this episode. Like I enjoyed it on the level that I enjoyed last week's, and the fact that they were slowed down and split into 2 episodes was not as much of a detriment to my enjoyment as you think it would be.
I don't know. I just wasn't in the mood for this one today.
And I don't know, like just like I got genuine excitement out of the Zeph, like seeing Judge's eyebrows. Like that's such an interesting. There's like a story there where that they had to air that episode, and then something happened, and they realized that they had to correct it. Like that's so interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that should do it. I think we are ready to move on to the next segment. What do you think?
Sure. Sounds good to me.
That has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 475, and what a cool one it was. It almost makes me wish that the manga were off more often, but on the other hand, no. I don't wish that.
Oda gets his rest, but I want the manga.
But we do a lot more work. So, huge thanks to Greg and Mr. Baugh for coming on. It was a lot of fun to interview both of them. I hope to have Greg on more in the future, but he is a busy man, as you may have heard. And also, our schedules are really tough. It's tough for us to record when it's a normal hour for him, and vice versa. But yeah, once again, a huge thanks for them. Please check us out next week. We will be talking manga chapter 870, and it's anime episode 795, correct, Sam?
Next week is 795, yeah.
Yeah, and we're approaching 800 episodes, which is crazy. Yeah. I hope Toei has... I guess it's going to kind of coincide with the manga's 20th anniversary.
796 should be my 100th review.
Oh, congratulations. Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant here.
No, on A&N.
Congratulations.
I don't know how long have I done the recap now?
I have to research that. That might take me a while. You know what? We have a fan base. Let us know when Sam started the anime recaps. I also want to mention, once again, as we mentioned at the top of the show, Ed, you will be at AX next weekend
That's right.
For Anime Expo in Los Angeles. Steve and Jill and Roger and Dennis will all be there, and more, I assume. We will also be at Otakon. There'll be me, Ed, Steve, Alex, Kelly, Casey. That's in Washington, D.C., August 11th through 13th. And at Anime Fest, Casey and Sam will be representing. The only one with a panel is Otakon, but please bother Ed specifically at Anime Expo. He will enjoy it.
Sure.
He will. Why not? I'm not even being sarcastic. And yeah, say hello to the whole crew if you see them. Actually, bother Steve. Go to he has an Artist Alley booth at AX and Otakon, I believe. So that's probably where we would be hanging out. So if you want to see us at one of those conventions, we're usually at Steve's booth. And I think that's just about it. I want to mention at the end of the show, we are, as always, looking for people to help us out with our website. Unfortunately, my life has gotten increasingly hectic, not decreasingly hectic. So we're looking for editors-in-chief to help us run some of the day-to-day operations on the site, as well as news reporters. And if you are interested, please email us at onepiecepodcast@gmail.com with the subject header website staff opening. Again, that's website staff opening, and just I would give some sort of background as to why you would be qualified for one of those positions. And if you have any writing samples, we also encourage you send those our way. Those could be anything from blog articles that you wrote to theses on, some philosophical something. I'm sorry. It's been a long
Academic papers.
academic papers. Thank you.
Or entire books you've written.
Yeah, I'll read your book if you have a book. If it's good, send it along. So, I think that's going to do us. Sam, where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Lucky Chainsaw, and they can find me on AnimeNewsNetwork.com doing the daily streaming reviews for Dragon Ball Super, One Piece, and My Hero Academia. And they can find me on the One Piece podcast every week doing the anime recaps.
Yeah, Steve was recommending I do a My Hero Academia podcast of 4 hours an episode. For the record, I am way behind on My Hero Academia, but I don't know.
Are you watching the anime at least?
I'm way behind on My Hero Academia.
It's still easy enough to catch up, and the anime is actually a very good adaptation.
I'm also not a big macadamia cookie fan.
They're very good.
I don't agree with that. I'm not a big nut fan in general, though, so yeah, I'm not going to get into that. Ed, where can the good people find us?
Well, Zach, you are Zach_Logan on Twitter. I am Edward E. Fastizio. I'm back on watching the 100 great anime films. I've fallen behind. This may not happen in 12 months, but I'm still watching them. I got through. I watched Katsuhiro Otomo's Memories, which has one really good segment written by Satoshi Kon, and the other parts pretty well animated as well. And I also went to the theater to see the Fathom Events screening of My Neighbor Totoro.
Nice.
Yesterday. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun to watch that in the theater.
I also wanted to mention this. I just started the Toonami official podcast. Just launched kind of recently. It's based off of Toonami Pre-Flight, and they're also going through that list since they helped compile it. I think Jason DeMarco helped. Jason
DeMarco did help write it.
Yeah. So you could take all your praise and any other opinions you may have to Jason, and you won't win that. But yeah, so if you also want, I guess, more flushed out opinions from that crew, I would definitely suggest to listen to that podcast. They've been going through those. But Ed, how could the good people find us?
Well, the podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. Support us, Patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Leave us some piece together at Reddit.com/r/OnePiecePodcast. You can subscribe on Google Play, subscribe on SoundCloud, or subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Or call us on our phone number, Zach.
You made it through it that time. 347. Our phone number.
Going to say it?
So you're going to say Apple Pod. I still am waiting for iTunes every time you say it. You can call us at our phone number. It's 347-497-MAJI.
MAJI.
That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime. With your questions, Sam, you're not even going to try. Questions, comments, theories, or opinions on Luffy-kun, but we only take it if you write it like that. Huge thanks again to Daniel and to Greg for coming on this week's episode. Next week, we return with manga chapter 870, and I'm sure it will be good. I don't know at this moment what it's going to be like, but we'll find out what happens when Big Dad and Big Mom have a fight. So, until then, my name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
We'll see you next week, everyone. Goodbye.
Adios. With the room. Tamate Bako.